Welcome to the European Higher Education Virtual Fair. Friends, today we had some technological problem in between. I hope this session is smooth. Apologies for running late. So Naozad, over to you. And students who are attending, he's going to present upon studying in Europe, visa and mobility. Over to you, Naozad.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Can I just make sure that you also include my colleague Arlinda, who should be a presenter?
She has not joined. I can't see her. Just a minute.
I've confirmed that she is online. I've just spoken to her a moment ago.
I can't see by which name?
Arlinda, A-R-L-I-N-D-A.
Just a minute. A-R-L-I-N-D-A. Arlinda. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She joined. Rashmi and Arlinda. Yeah.
Excellent. Exactly. That's what I wanted to mention. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's bared with us through these technical difficulties. I also want to congratulate Sanjeev and all his team, Anil, and the team at ICM here for organizing a listening session, a physical listening session for students that are in New Delhi that wanted to join. If they've had some difficulties, please come here and join us at the physical session. That will make things a lot easier for you. I'm thrilled that I'm able to share with you a little bit more about the mobility aspects of being a student. Being a student is not an easy exercise, and one that requires a great deal of planning as well as knowledge and help. And most times what students do is they often work with agents, and these agents are fantastic. They can be of great help and resources, but there is a risk that you might end up with a bad agent. So the hope is that through this session, we are able to empower you and offer you the tools you need to be able to make the right decisions and question your motives as well as where you plan on going. As you've heard from a variety of different speakers so far, what you do in the planning stage, what you do in the pre-departure stage, what you do when you decide which university to go to is going to have a huge impact on the kind of experience you will have as a student in Europe. And that's what we want to focus on today, is your experience all the way from the pre-planning through to the post-graduation, not on which university is going to offer you the best computer science degree, not the best alternative for public environment and science and technology. That's not what we're here at. What we're here to help you with is how are you going to be a student in a university in Europe? How is that mobility experience going to come across? So what we have done is I represent an intergovernmental organization called the International Center for Migration Policy Development. And we have developed several tools that you have at your disposal that you can use to be able to make sure that that experience is a good one. We have also paired up for this session with Utrecht University's international program, which is International Studies program, a broad program, who will take you through some of the ways in which they support you right from the very beginning when you start considering or reflecting upon their university as a destination for studies, as well as later after post-graduation. What's important to remember are a couple of key things that before you go to Europe, you keep in mind. The visa application process is very different from the visa application that you're perhaps used to in the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. The EU has a unified visa application process for Schengen member states, and therefore it's very easy to get this information from the country's website that you're thinking of attending. You don't need an agent to get this information. This information is publicly available. And typically the visa application process is not expensive, nor does it require any third parties' involvement. When you're thinking about your arrival, when you're in the country, how are you going to go about identifying housing? How are you going to integrate yourself into the community? What language are you going to be able to speak? How is your medical and social needs going to be taken care of? How are you going to be able to make sure that you are using transportation? Those are all considerations that you should consider, ask yourself before making the decision for the destination for your studies. And this is again where a university like Utrecht University can help you. We've also have the pleasure of bringing in a student. Her name is Rashmi, and Rashmi is also going to explain to you a bit more about how her experience goes and how it's been for her to come from India to study in Utrecht. What I want to also close by saying in the opening session, and then I'll pass it over to my colleagues who are going to be speaking from the Netherlands, Arlinda is that it's very important to take a look at the student checklist that you have all received if you are at the ICM headquarters today. The student checklist takes you through a series of questions that you should ask before planning any trip. What is the reputation of the university in question? Because one of the things that we found is that there's been a disconnect between your expectations as a student and what you're getting when you arrive in Europe. When you are thinking about the application process, consider the timeline involved and what is the criteria for admission. Do you have the necessary documentation? Do you have the necessary certifications, as talked about by our DAD colleagues? Each member state or each European Union country has its own study abroad association that you should be familiar with and be knowledgeable for. You just heard from the AD colleagues, but the Netherlands, for example, has nothing. The French have Campus France. Each of those countries have associations that you can access resources virtually online. Before traveling and before applying for your visa, make sure that you have enough time. And that's why this checklist has been prepared for you, so that you're able to keep yourself aware. Once you graduate, what are the consequences of graduation? Do you have an 18-month job application visa allowance, such as in Germany? Or do you have a Dutch experience, such as the one that my colleagues are going to talk to you about for Utrecht University, where you have 1 year to be able to orient yourself post-graduation? But each of those post-graduation services or post-graduation facilities require a certain degree. So inform yourself about which degree is relevant and which degree is not. And finally, what are the services available to you when you are traveling? The Indian government has the Madad portal, which is an online portal in case you need help. Make sure you have that information accessible at all times. Make sure you know where to get that and how you can lodge a complaint if there's an issue. The Ministry of External Affairs is behind you and supports you in this experience. And the most important thing for you to do is to inform yourself of how that goes. I'll stop here and I'll let my colleagues take over. Arlinda, it's up to you. Arlinda, can you hear me?
From Rashmi as well, that I can share about specifically studying in the Netherlands and studying in Utrecht. Yeah, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna see, can I go to the next slide? Yeah. Okay, so before we get started, a little bit about Utrecht University, about the Netherlands. We are in the Netherlands. We are one of the oldest institutions in the Netherlands. We were founded in 1636, so we're one of the oldest universities in the Netherlands. We're a very well ranked university as well. We were ranked first in the Netherlands in the Shanghai ranking for a couple of years now, so we're very proud of that. There's 12 Nobel Prize winners that went to Utrecht University and conducted their research with us. We have 7 different faculties, which means we are quite a broad university. We have education in, for example, the humanities, natural sciences, life sciences, medicine, a lot of different options there, social sciences. We are also very known for our sustainability research. We do a lot of important research in sustainability issues. And on a program level, we have almost 100 English taught master's programs. So there's a lot of options to choose from if you want to study in Utrecht or in the Netherlands in general. We have almost 107 different nationalities in Utrecht University, so we're quite an international institution. Each year around 2,500 students from abroad come to study at Utrecht University, either in a bachelor's or a master's program. A little bit about the city. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Netherlands, but the Netherlands is a very, very, very tiny country. And Utrecht is the 4th biggest city in the Netherlands, which sounds like it's very big, but of course, since we're such a tiny country, it's not so big. It feels like it's a big town. The distances are not very big, and it's nothing compared to any city in India, I suppose. We're a very central location within the Netherlands, as you can see in the little map that we have here on the slide. We're right in the center of the country, which means it's very easy to access other cities as well in the Netherlands or to travel to other European countries. So this is a little bit like a small introduction about our institution. Then about the application procedure. So an application procedure in the Netherlands is really different from the United States, for example, for the UK. But the good news is in the Netherlands, it's all more or less the same for all universities. So what I'm telling you now applies to Utrecht University, but it also applies to other Dutch institutions. The very first thing that you have to do is you have to register with StudyLink. StudyLink is the national database of education in the Netherlands. It's part of the Ministry of Education. Everyone that wants to study in the Netherlands needs to register with StudyLink first. StudyLink is only the registration system, so it's just the first step. After StudyLink, you always have to apply with the specific university. In our case, in case of Utrecht University, after you've applied with StudyLink and you indicated which program you want to study, you will receive login details to Osiris online application. That is our application system. But this might differ for universities. And then, so this is in general how the application procedure in the Netherlands works. First thing that you always have to do is check the website of the institution for the entry requirements, the deadlines, and the documents that you need, because every university, and even on a program level, it can be different what exactly they want from you and what the requirements are. After you've done that and you know that you have the right requirements and you know that you're in time for the deadline and everything, you can apply first through StudyLink. And after you've applied with StudyLink, you will receive an email from us with login details to Osiris online application, which is our application system. In that system, you have to submit digital scans of all your documents, and you have to pay a 100 euros application fee. This is very common. This is not only at Utrecht University, all Dutch universities do this. And usually you only have to pay this fee once and you can apply for multiple programs. So if you're applying for 2 programs at Utrecht University, you only have to pay that application fee once. After you've paid the application fee and uploaded all the correct documents, the admissions office will check your previous education. So they will browse through all your documents and see if everything is okay. And then they will send your application to the admissions committee of the graduate school, and they will decide whether or not you will be admitted. Oh, did I do anything? The slides are gone. Let me see if I can get them back. Yeah, there they are. Sorry, ik ben een webinar aan het houden. Ja. Okay. Right, where was I? So yeah, the admissions committee of the graduate school, they will decide whether or not you will be accepted, yes or no. If you're accepted, it will be a conditional acceptance, which means you always have to send hard copy documents by post with official certifications, so official stamps and signatures to the university. And after that, you will be unconditionally accepted. These are the only steps that you have to do. This is everything. Something's good to know, you can apply already before you have obtained your bachelor's degree. So if you're still studying, for example, then you can already apply with your the transcript that you have so far. And then later on, you can give us the full transcript and your diploma. You always have to do an English language test. That's always required. We accepted TOEFL, an IELTS, or a Cambridge, and that you can also hand in later. So you don't need to have that at the moment that you apply. This is how StudyLink looks like. So this is something that you all have to do as a first step. A DigiD, that's a Dutch thing. You don't have that as an international student, so you can just choose to log in without a DigiD. Then this is Osiris. This is the online application system that I talked about. So here you can just fill in all your details, and we will send you a link on how to register for that. Keep in mind, yeah, these are some important things. We cannot process your application without the application fee. That's not possible. You first have to pay the application fee, and then we will process your application. Very important to check in advance all the admissions requirements and the deadlines online on the websites. All Dutch universities have a very comprehensive website where you can find all kinds of information. So please check everything before you apply. The visa procedure is done by the university, so you don't have to do that yourself. You have to give all the documents for the visa application to the university, and then we will apply for your visa. There's a step-by-step guide on how to do that. And for any questions, you can always contact the university, of course. You can also contact NAFIC. NAFIC is the internationalization in education organization in the Netherlands. They also have offices all over the world. They also have an office in India. So you can also go to them for any questions. And they also organize information sessions about studying in the Netherlands. Then required documents. So what do you need to hand in when you want to apply for a program? We need a scan of your passports. We need a copy of your diploma and a copy of your transcripts. If you don't have your diploma yet, you can upload a proof of anticipated degree. That's a statement that says that you will obtain your diploma in a certain amount of time. With an official signature from the university. We want a resume, a motivation letter. So why do you want to apply for this program? And recommendation letters, usually from your teachers. It depends a bit on the program if the recommendation letters are mandatory. Some require 1 or 2, and some require none. And we need your English language test results. So this is the information about the visa procedure. This is on our website. So basically, step by step, it shows you all the things that you have to do for your visa application. It's not difficult. You just have to read through all of the information. So it's perfectly manageable to do that by yourself. We provide you with all the information, and you only have to make sure that you get the deadlines. This is on our website. You can already look at it now. It's welcome to Utrecht, uu.nl/welcome to Utrecht. But this will also be sent to you once you're in the application process. And yeah, this is about when you're actually studying here in Utrecht. We also offer a lot of guidance and help. So if you have any problems, if you're experiencing problems with your studies or you're unsure about your courses, we have a lot of mentors and tutors who can help you. You can make an appointment with them. If you're worried about finding an internship or finding a job afterwards, we also have a career service, a career office. So there's usually a lot of help available for international students specifically. We have an international student desk where you can go to with all of your questions. We will basically be there throughout the whole process. And once you're here, we are also available for help. But we can give you a lot of information, of course, but it might be even more valuable for you to hear from actual international students. We have a chatting system on our website, which is called UniBuddy. The website is uu.nl/UniBuddy. And you can find students from all over the world to talk to and chat with. So these are some of our Indian students that are on UniBuddy. So you can see they have a little profile with what they're interested in, what kind of program they do, where they're from. And you can basically just browse through it and click on chat, and then you can start chatting with them. So this is really helpful if you want some inside information, if you want to talk in your own language, things like that. You can browse people based on their program, but also based on the country that they're from. So this is very helpful as well. And
Arlinda, if you just want to wrap up here, we need to take some time for question and answer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm quickly browsing through. Yeah. So some last information that we have a lot of blogs. We have a YouTube channel with blogs from our international students. You can tell, they can let you know everything about student life and about the Netherlands, living in the Netherlands, studying at UU and whatnot. So you can find a lot of information about that online as well. And then the last thing I wanted to touch upon is housing. Housing is quite different from other countries in the world. It's not very common in the Netherlands that universities own any housing. This means that it's very common for students to find housing themselves. That's not provided with the university, so that might be different than what you expect. And this means that it's really your responsibility to find housing in the Netherlands, which can be very tough. So we want you to prepare for that. This is not a thing only for Utrecht University, this is for all university cities in the Netherlands, basically. The housing market is very tight, and it can be quite difficult to find some housing, so you need to start early. We try to provide you with as much information as possible. We have a housing office that you can go to. We have a website dedicated to housing, and every year we do a housing webinar. So some tips and tricks. There's several ways to find accommodation. You can do it to the private rental, which is the most common. We also have some housing agencies that you can register with in order to find housing. The earlier, the better, I always say. The rent is roughly around 350 up to 900 euros per month. This is for Utrecht, but it's pretty common in other cities as well. And then the last, also look for temporary housing is one of the tips we give you. So don't expect to get one house and live there for all of the years of your studies. It's very common to move. A lot of students first have accommodation for about half a year, and then afterwards they move to a more permanent place. So this is not strange at all, it's very common. It's also common to live in other cities nearby Utrecht, so not only live in the big capital, but live in smaller cities around, because the Netherlands is a very tiny country, so it's super easy to commute. The housing webinar of last year is on the website. So if you go to uu.nl/housing, you can watch it. We will organize a new housing webinar in April with all the information that is there. This was the end of the small presentation. I'm not sure what I'm meant to do with the questions.
Thank you, Arlinda. I've been observing a couple of the questions that have been coming up as we've been talking, and I find it fascinating that most of the questions are very relevant. I would like to pick a couple of and answer them. Maybe you can also do the same as I'm chatting and then tell us what you think.
Sure.
The most common question that comes out is, where do I apply for my visa? Or what are the documents I need for my visa? Now, this is something that is extremely important to understand, that it depends on the country you are heading to. And this is a message that I would very much like to communicate to our students out there, that depending on the university you've chosen, you must then decide upon the visa application process. So if you were thinking about going to Utrecht University, as you've just heard, the university applies for your visa application for you. And this is the reason why we chose the Netherlands and a Dutch university for this presentation, so that you're able to see that help exists out there for more than just yourself. You don't need an agent to do the application process if you are a Dutch if you're applying for a Dutch university. If you're applying for a German university, then you need to go to the German embassy's website, and they will tell you more about the documents they need specifically for your application process and how that process is supposed to be submitted. It's extremely frustrating at times because you feel like each country has a different visa application, but the great thing about the European Union is that it's a common visa code. So although your procedure may be slightly different, and although the documents requested may be slightly different, the general requirements are all the same. What's also interesting and what has come up in the questions is, what do I do after graduation? And here it's interesting to see that, for instance, the Netherlands, they have a one-year orientation year, which allows you to live in the Netherlands after having completed a bachelor, master's from a Dutch higher education institution. This experience and how you can apply for it is available directly online, and they're available via the website of the Dutch embassy, or to go directly to NAVIC's office and ask them. Here, you have the ability to work, you have the ability to continue to look for work. Alternatively, you might wonder, one of the questions that came up was, if I am a PhD student and I have to do research and I have been granted a visa into Germany, am I able to then transfer inter-EU? So am I able to go to France? Am I able to go to Italy for my research? And the answer is yes. You are able to do that as long as you do that for a period of maximum of 6 months. If you would like to stay for more than 6 months for your research, for your interviews, for your further questions related to your PhD, that can also be arranged if you add a supplementary application to your host country. So those are the key questions that came out of the discussion as we were presenting, is how do I apply for a visa? You don't need an agent. Agents only act as the middleman. The appointments can be received directly from the embassy's website, or if you just contact the embassy, they will provide you with information on how that application procedure works. Arlinda, did you spot any questions that you wanted to also answer?
Because other people wanted to go into the room, so I
Have I lost you, Arlinda?
a bit preoccupied.
Okay. Well, if there's any other questions, please do mention them.
Let's see. I see someone who is asking, is Dutch required if you want to study in the Netherlands? One great thing about the Netherlands is that basically everyone speaks very well English. We're a very international oriented country. So that means that you can get by perfectly without learning any Dutch. Even if you go to a supermarket or a restaurant, everyone will just approach you in English. So there's absolutely no language barrier. So that's one thing that is very great about studying in the Netherlands. There's a lot of international communities there. So that might answer your question.
I see another question about Malta and whether or not Malta is a good destination. Of course, all member states and all of the European Union have their advantages as well as disadvantages, and you have to decide for yourself which country is best suited based on the institution that you identify. What we have done is try to sample a single institution during this session, which is from Utrecht University in the Netherlands. But of course, other member states have great institutions as well. It's important to illustrate, to show you the kind of support that you can expect. And this is also why I was very glad to have Arlinda with us.
I saw another question about, does Utrecht University offer any English courses or only in Dutch? Of course, we offer plenty of English courses because we want a lot of international students that are wanting to join here. We have currently 12 bachelor's programs that we teach in English, and we have over 100 that we teach on a master's level. So there's lots to choose from, and again, no need to learn Dutch.
Naozad and Arlinda, this is Sanjeev here. Now, can I request you, thank you very much for the excellent presentation. Now, can I request you to pick up one question each, which you thought was very relevant, because we are going to award the student with an online shopping coupon. So one question for Naozad, one for Arlinda, which you thought was very relevant to your presentation.
Right. Just trying to scroll back.
You have to see the name of the person.
I would choose Mr. Banu Vijay, DTN Banu Vijay, who asked about extending his work permit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, as I've mentioned in the presentation, each member state, the university in the Netherlands has a very interesting year called the orientation year after you graduate. And that is a program that allows students to be able to extend their student duration visa and look for a job upon graduation. The same thing applies in France. The same thing applies in Germany. So I think that question had some very interesting options for answering.
Thank you. So Banu Vijay, our team will contact you. Arlinda, if you could pick up one.
I wanted to add the question about, does Utrecht University offer any English courses or only Dutch? And then the second part of the question was, what about part-time job and do you need a permit for that? I actually didn't talk about that. So I thought that was a good question also to answer. Now, if you want to get a part-time job as an international student, you can. If you have a visa for studying, you are allowed to work, but there's a maximum of hours of 16 hours per week. And you need a work permit, but it is very possible to get a job as an international student next to your studies, and it's also very common. So that's something that I would still want to point out.
Okay, so can I take the opportunity to thank both of you for your time, and I'm sure students attending all over the country would have benefited a lot, and both of you will get the list of students who participated in your session. And for students who are participating, you can contact them. Their presentation will be on our website. So if you have missed anything, you can again go through our website next week and you'll be able to have access to the presentation. So can I take this opportunity to say thank you, Naozad, and thank you, Arlinda?
You're welcome. Thank you for
Sanjeev.
watching.